In Southwest Rochester, a one-stop sewing shop is working to increase the self-sufficiency of city residents by teaching them the skills of sewing, knitting, and needlework. Sew Green Rochester offers classes, camps, and programs in hopes of stitching the community together and building bridges. Deacon Georgia Carney is the founder and coordinator of Sew Green Rochester, and Jennifer Quick is a member of the board, and they're here to tell us more. Thank you, ladies, for coming on.
Thank you.
How did Sew Green get its start?
2 years ago, my friend Martha Skirmerhorn put a card in my hand. She's a member of our board, and said, "This looks like it's up your alley." And it was for Sew Green in Ithaca,
Okay.
Which was founded by Wendy Skinner about 8-9 years ago now. And I looked at it and thought, yeah, it really is. So we started talking, and it kind of worked into a natural evolution of what I was doing, which started with a mending ministry that I would set up in soup kitchens. And then people started saying to me, "Are you going to teach? Are you going to teach?" And after they said that enough times, I thought, maybe I should teach. So I started a couple of sewing workshop programs. One on the east side of the city at St. Mark's and St. John's on Episcopal Church on Culver Road, and the other one at St. Stephen's on Chili Ave. And we put signs in the ground, and people came in because they wanted to learn. And so then the next step really was a storefront. You know, modern church today, less and less people are coming into church. And my feeling as a deacon is we need to go out to them and to reach people through education and activities that are empowering and feed kind of the right side of the brain as well.
Okay.
But there was also the environmental piece that I learned in the mending, which was when you fix clothing, you're keeping it out of the landfill. So this is a way to extend that mission.
And you have quite a resume, and it's, you know, that they would ask you, are you going to teach makes sense, because tell us about your history.
Right, I spent 30 plus years in regional theater, first in New England, but then 28 years at Jiva Theater Center as a draper tailor. So I worked with designers for many, many years, and worked also teaching staff to create costumes.
And Jennifer, how did you become involved with Sew Green?
George and I had worked together quite a few years back, maybe 3 years, at a local neighborhood program for kids.
Okay.
That actually we did out of the basement of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. And although my role with Baden Street in reaching 9 to 12-year-olds through like building their life skills and just positive youth development, it worked really well with what St. Stephen's was doing. And during that time, Georgia had introduced to those kids community gardening and sewing. And from that group, I've actually brought in other groups of 9 to 12-year-olds to the shop beyond the St. Stephen's years. And we've seen like such amazing projects come out of that. You know, sewing has, you know, come to be such a like self-soothing activity. And some of the kids that generally have some difficulties with, you know, behavioral difficulties, I would say, have found sewing to be like quite joyous. We've seen kids make clothing, backpacks, pillows, just all types of great things have come out of it. And I am looking forward to connecting the groups I'm working with this fall to Sew Green to continue that work. It's just really nice to see such a great intergenerational activity taking place in our community, and have great conversations and see great projects come out of it.
Sure. So Georgia, along with working with the youth groups, what else happens at Sew Green?
We work on classes, and my idea is really to encourage creativity. Our 3 words are creativity, community, creativity, and sustainability. So in the creative piece, rather than offering classes that really focus on, you know, let's make pajama pants, it's more focusing on the skills that you need, and then we will work with you. Like Jennifer said, if you wanted to make a backpack, or if you want to learn how to use a dress form, if you want to learn how to decipher a pattern, it's really about being a companion on your own creative journey. So that's a lot of what happens.
So can anyone just come in and take a class, or are there prerequisites, or what do you recommend?
I recommend, if you haven't sewn before, that you come in for Sewing Machine 101.
Okay.
And it usually is 101/201, because what I do is I see who's coming in, what they're comfortable with. And so this week I had a class of 3 women, and they already kind of knew the basics. They'd known it from when they were younger. And so we kind of moved ahead, and they learned how to do what I call the easy peasy zipper and made a little bag. So what I think I'm good at is adapting to whoever's in front of me. I have a lot of people who bring in sewing machines they have at home, and they either bought it and it never left the box, and they have that deer in the headlights look of,
Right.
what do I do now?
Okay, that's me, yeah.
Or, they picked it up at a yard sale, and now they just need somebody to really sit down, clean it, decipher it, and help them to make friends.
Sure. So should you come in with your own sewing machine, or
Either
is one
one.
provided?
Yeah, I always have 7 machines set up. I also have a serger set up that people enjoy using. We have an industrial iron. We have 3 prep tables that are different heights for people to work at. And on Wednesday evenings from 5 to 7, we do a group called So We Gather. That's free, and people can come in and just sew together. It's very social. Some people really do more visiting than sewing, and we're cool with that.
How do you guys get the word out on activities that you're doing?
A lot of it's on Facebook, it's on Twitter. We send out a newsletter every 2 weeks. That's edited by Patty Blaine. And Patty does a club on Fridays for knitting as well, knitting and crochet. So.
Okay. And you guys have taken in quite a bit of donations from the community over the months, and kind of at a milestone right now. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you want to?
Well, as Georgia mentioned, a lot of it is the repurposing of donated items, and also keeping those items out of landfills. But with those donations has come the need for growth on our end in terms of space and expansion, which is exciting because we are looking at that as our next move. And I think the growth of all the items coming in also is significant, and kind of demonstrates the growth we've had since opening in December. And word of mouth is also a really big way of spreading the news. I myself have connections with the local recreation centers and libraries and schools, and do hand out cards through that means. But the positive experiences of people coming in, those positive experiences have become stories that they've shared with other folks, which have brought in new people, people from that neighborhood, but also people from surrounding communities who are really bridging those neighborhood barriers and like making a way into the city, which I think says a lot. But you are right, we have taken in quite a few donations, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
No, it's over 5 tons.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're weighing the
We weigh everything that
donations
comes
as they
in.
come in.
And I don't know if you didn't pick up this machine, but old machines are heavy. So we've taken in a lot and found a lot of good homes. It always makes us very happy to take something that's recycled and find like the perfect place for it to go. And we honor a lot of stories that people have. This machine was my grandmother's. I don't sew, my kids don't sew.
Sure.
And so, but they still want it to be somewhere where somebody will prize it the way their grandmother did. So we take that seriously.
In the newsletter, I read that you called sewing machines a power tool.
They are a power tool.
What do you mean by that?
In the way that a saw is, or anything else, it is there's a needle going up and down fast, and you have to respect that. But it's also an empowering tool in that you can take this and create something fabulous out of fabric and thread and your imagination. So in that way, it's a power tool. I think a lot of times we don't think about men or boys sewing because, sewing machines were marketed as women's things for so long. But we do. I had a 10-year-old boy sewing just a couple of days ago with his mom and his grandmother. And You know, he had such great natural hands for it that I would hate to see boys discouraged.
Excellent.
It's not a gender thing.
Right. Finally, what are your future plans, hopes for So Green?
Well, we have some great news this week, which is that we will be moving to the Susan B. Anthony district.
Wow.
Well, there was an article that went in the paper. Marquetta Post wrote a really nice column. And after that article, Barbara Hoffman approached us. She's a landlord in the Susan B. Anthony district with a really beautiful shop that will substantially increase our square footage. So,
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, ladies, for coming on today. For more information about So Green, including class schedules and upcoming events, be sure to visit their website at sogreenrochester.org. You can also give them a call at 585-328-2642. Thanks for joining us on this edition of CityWise. I'm Tiana Stevens, and we'll see you next week.